Welcome to The Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
So I got to ask you, when is it a good time to clean house? Now, I'm talking about actually every single aspect of your life, including your residence, okay? Life is so stressful. There are constant demands on your time. Technology's changing like lightning. Life seems to go faster and faster every single day. And then we tend to compound those natural challenges by hauling around old emotional wounds and trauma. That makes it harder than ever to actually enjoy the vibrancy of life. Yeah, that crazy pace can be exciting and energizing when you're in the right mental and emotional space. Well, fortunately, there's an expert who can help us. Dr. Tara Perry is a clinical hypnotherapist and doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. She specializes in core trauma transformation, helping people get to the root of their biggest block, connect to their authentic selves, and thrive in deep, confident peace. For over 25 years, Dr. Perry has successfully treated celebrities, Olympians, first responders, world record holders, doctors, scientists, teachers, parents, children. It doesn't matter what they've been dealing with: anxiety, PTSD, stress, trauma, addiction, pain, insomnia, you name it. All of these people, she has helped them understand the power of their subconscious mind to heal better and faster than they thought possible. It's no wonder she's been featured on Lifetime television and in the Wall Street Journal. She also has her own fabulous podcast called Next Level Healing. Dr. Tara Perry, I am so happy. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed that you could join us today to discuss this incredibly important topic.
Thanks so much, Elaine. It's so nice to be here with you. I love what you're doing.
Thank you. I love what you're doing too, which is why I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. Frankly, it's long overdue, and I know that you'll bring some fresh insights. But what I want to do before we get started is make sure that we connect our energy, yours, mine, everyone in the audience, as well as to the divine, to the God of our understanding. So there's two things we're going to do. The first thing is we're going to breathe together 3 times. And as we breathe in through the nose, think the words, I am. And as we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. I'll remind you as we get going. And then we're going to hold an intention, which is what we want to create and how we want to feel as we're creating it. And we're going to hold that for 78 seconds. The design here of 78 seconds is long enough so the God of your understanding can lock in to that higher vibration so we can really experience that transformation during this conversation. Now, I found 2 things that help me, because 78 seconds can feel like a really long time. And what I do is I'll pick 2 or 3 words out of the intention that just feel expansive and uplifting, and they make me smile. It's the vibration I want to be emanating all the time. And I'll repeat those 2 or 3 words over and over again in my mind for the 78 seconds. The second thing I do is I notice what's happening in my body, because our body is a big energetic receiver. So it could be something as simple as goosebumps or a chill, or maybe your left knee hurt and now your right knee hurts. Any movement at all is a sign that the divine, the God of your understanding, has locked into that higher vibration and things are starting to move where we want them to go. So I can't wait to get started, shall we? All right, let's breathe together 3 times. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. In love and light, we hold the intention that we recognize and release our blocks and trauma, reveling in our authentic selves so we thrive in infinite divine peace. Thank you, divine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. We give thanks, and so it is. Wow, there's a lot of energy around this. Tara, what was that experience like for you?
I love breath work. So, I do practice it quite a bit. I did this morning when I woke up, and I love ventilating and holding the breath. And it's such an important somatic component to change and to transformation.
You bring up such a good point because, so often we spend all our time in our heads, and it's really about getting it back down into the body and noticing what's happening in the body. Because often we think, well, the physical discomfort that we feel doesn't have anything to do with the stress that we're under or the frustration that we're going through. But everything's connected. Surprise, surprise. That mental stuff and the emotional stuff is right in alignment with the physical stuff. It's all related. And I know you're incredibly passionate about this. I mean, you love what you do and you're awfully good at it. What got you started, and why are you so committed to helping people experience this transformation?
So that's a great question. I did acupuncture and nutritional medicine for 23 years in Southern California. I taught at UCLA, went to China for a year and studied at one of the top 5 traditional medical hospitals. And I love what acupuncture does. I love what nutrition does. But one day a patient came in who had marked early trauma, and she was raving about this process she was doing. And when I found out it was based in hypnosis, I said, "Oh, I want to swap a session with your person." So she gave me the contact information, and I realized, oh, this is different. Because I had already been to 2 of the top hypnotists in Los Angeles because I had referred people to them. And I always like to experience what I'm sending people out to experience for themselves, so that I can just have a better foundation and understanding of what tool is best for which person with which issue. So when I worked with those 2 people, it was kind of like being in a relaxed state, but still talking to the conscious mind. This was really good at bypassing the conscious mind. So I started using it with my people and found that, headaches, migraines, allergies. One gal was attacked by a Rottweiler and went through 6 jaw surgeries. She developed a choking disorder. Every time she ate, she was at risk of going to the hospital. They had 3 young children, so this was a huge strain on the family. Many cases of headaches and migraines. One fellow had broken his spine 40 years earlier in a motorcycle accident, and he was all excited when he found out it was an acupuncturist. And I said, well, you've done acupuncture, you've done chiropractic. Why don't we, go to Command Central, which is what I call the subconscious mind, and fix what the problem is? Because if you break your femur, which is the thickest bone in your body, that should be healed better than ever in just 8 weeks, unless something's getting in the way. So, I have rapidly discovered that most people are living in some form of flight or fight. So when we're young and we get the message, because it doesn't matter so much what happens to us, it's our belief about ourselves, the world, and other people that ends up getting us. So by rewiring that pattern, you can dial back that stress response, which is, it's like an alarm system that's going off in your house 24/7, 365. How useful is that? How exhausting would that be? How much sleep, how much rest would you get if that was going on all the time? So by dialing that back, which this process has proven to be very consistent with. Once you get into parasympathetic, then your body gets the signal, oh, okay, now it's time to have your immune system function, your digestive system functioning, your hormonal system functioning. And then a myriad of positive things I have found come from that. So that's a beginning answer to your question. I hope I didn't.
No, you were brilliant. You were absolutely brilliant. And I love what you're saying. I know this might sound like a little bit of a tangent, but I'll bring it back to what we're talking about because I want to share a story here. I was doing some dishes in my kitchen a few months ago, and I was just musing over, sometimes you're working on a project and everything comes together just easy peasy. It's a breeze, it's a snap. And then there's other times when it's a slog. It doesn't matter what you do. You hit roadblock, challenge, issue, problem. I mean, it's just so frustrating. And I was musing over, I wonder why that happens. And I immediately felt and heard a very loud, forceful voice in my body that said, when you deny your power is denied to you. When you acknowledge your power is shown to you. You are more powerful than you can imagine. And the reason why I wanted to share that story is because, Tara, what you're doing with people is you're helping them own their power again. They accidentally gave it back. They didn't realize that they had delegated and denied their own power, and their subconscious mind has abdicated responsibility, so to speak. And so you're giving them their power back. And that's
it's so funny that you're saying that, because in my presentation, when somebody's interested in working with me, I meet them on a Zoom call for 30 minutes because I want to make sure they're a good fit. I want to answer their questions. And in the slide deck, I have a picture of Glenda the Good Witch with Dorothy. And it's like, I'm really not giving you anything you don't already have. It's just something you lost sight of somewhere along the way. And as Joe Dispenza says, it's the most familiar, unfamiliar thing. Once you remove the old filters, which, because 90 to 95% of your brain is subconscious, that's below the level of your consciousness. The reason you haven't solved it with your conscious mind is because the answer isn't there.
funny how that works. I know it. We beat ourselves up and we're like, oh, but this has got to be up here somewhere. And then we make the mistake of expecting everybody else to have our answer. And so I love the way you are uncovering, peeling off the debris so we can actually see ourselves. That is amazing. Which leads me to my next question. And I've never had two people answer this question the same way, which I love. Okay. Tara, given the kind of work that you do and the transformation you create for your clients, how would you define abundance?
That is a lovely question. I think abundance, it goes hand in hand with freedom.
Oh, yeah.
So the result that people get over and over and over again when they dump the old patterns that are I feel like I get to let people out of prison for a living. And it's just a prison that got created because somewhere, usually between the ages of 2 and 10, although I've had people with, like the woman who was attacked by a Rottweiler, obviously that happened later in life. But, and even the military personnel that I've worked with who scored 100 on their PTSD scores, and they'd gone through all the military stuff and they were, still having their panic attacks, still not able to focus. And after 2 sessions, they're like, it can't be this easy. And it's like, yeah, it actually can be.
Yeah. And it's that denying your power or owning your power, declaring your power. It can't be that easy. Deny the power. It is that easy. Acknowledge the power. It's amazing. And oh man, there's just so much of what you're doing here that speaks to me, to the core of me. What you're doing is truly divine work. You are empowering people to live at their full capacity as who they truly are. When we get so distracted by all the physical illness and the issues that we're dealing, loss of sleep, all of the rest of it, it's hard to show up as your higher self. It really is. So the work that you're doing is empowering people. It's really a rebirth.
Yeah, it is. And in fact, Stanislav Grof, when he was doing all his breath work with people over the last many decades, he calls it rebirthing. I think also, what's that? Hello, that famous meditation technique that people were studying, TM.
Sure.
They call it rebirthing as well. Yeah, and it is a rebirth. Again, it's like Dr. Joe says, it's the most familiar, unfamiliar feeling. So when you finally let go of what isn't you, doesn't serve you, is keeping you imprisoned, you feel better, you feel lighter. I find business people love it because they're able to accomplish, 3 times as much with less effort and more fun.
That's key. That is so key. I love that you brought that up, Tara, because I have decided, and I decided this last year, I'm not working anymore. I refuse to work because every time I think of the word work, it feels heavy. It feels constrictive. It's all on me and I have to figure everything out. And that it slows me down, frankly, when I have to work. So instead, now I play because when I play, it's lighthearted. I'm having fun. I get to instead of I have to. I can invite other people to play with me. It's just a totally different mindset. And I discovered some fascinating research. They did a study with kids. I'm sure it works with adults too. They wanted to teach the kids something. So they had 2 different groups, and one of them was taught in the traditional way, schoolroom kind of thing. The other was taught through play. And they discovered that it took 30 times longer and more repetition with the traditional way than it did with play. When we let down our barriers and, it's got to be really buttoned up and I have to be real professional. And, everybody likes to have fun, and we're able to break through when we can relax a bit and be playful and joyous in our lives. Now, you're dealing with people who are dealing with lots and lots of different kinds of trauma. If you were going to talk to just a general audience, what are a few symptoms that people might notice is happening in their life where they could truly benefit from hypnosis? Where are they stuck?
That's another great question. So I typically ask anybody that's interested in working with me, what are 3 feelings you'd give anything to not feel anymore? And the most common answers I get are stress, panic, anxiety is probably the number one thing that people have. Other feelings would be anger, not being worthy. But whatever the feeling is, then I say, where do you feel it in your body? If it had a color, what would it be? If it had a temperature, what would it be? How long's it been there? And the answer to that is often my whole life. Even if they only became aware of it later when some secondary trauma, inflamed whatever the issue is to the point where they are seeking help. And then if you wave a magic wand, which I actually have a magic wand, which is in the other room.
I do too.
Yeah, there you go. And then I say, wave the magic wand, and in 90 days, what does your life look like? What are the 3 feelings you'd give anything to feel consistently? And typically, those answers are enough, being enough, happiness, bliss, calmness, so it varies a little bit from person to person, but usually they're transitioning out of being in some form of sympathetic nervous system response to parasympathetic.
Yeah. I love this because what you're talking about, Tara, you're not saying is, what do you want to know? Right? You're taking people out of their mind where they get stuck in the mind and back into the body, the sensation, the somatic, as you were saying. Notice what's happening in your body. And it's all connected. So when you heal the body, you are impacting the mind. I mean, there's some fascinating research that shows if you're really depressed, take a pen or a pencil, stick it between your teeth, and stand in front of a mirror for 5 minutes. That pencil between your teeth forces you to smile, even when you're depressed and you feel awful. But smiling at yourself in the mirror really lifts your mood. And it's so interesting. I have a practice. I did it with you today. Usually I'll do it privately before I start a meeting. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. And I feel that sensation in my body right now because that is what I'm projecting into the mirror of the universe. And it gets reflected back to me. People have forgotten how to enjoy life. And you've experienced so many different things with all of your clients. I noticed that whenever I want an external change, I have to create an internal change first because my external world is a reflection of the energy I bring to it from the inside. What have you noticed your clients have to be willing to shift to have this transformation?
Another good question. So I work with people who have an 8, 9, or 10 need to change and an 8, 9, or 10 commitment to change because the brain prefers what's a familiar hell to an unfamiliar heaven. We're just that reptilian brain. The reptilian brain, just it's going to default to what's familiar. We're tribal in nature. I dislike animal studies like poison, but they did this study with rats where they would shock them and they would subject them to the smell of cherry blossoms. And of course, it didn't take long before the smell of cherry blossoms made them react as if they were being shocked. And that's not surprising. That's just Pavlovian. But what was surprising is that the next generation just had to smell the cherry blossoms and they'd experience the stress and the trauma. The next generation, it took 3 generations for that to go away. So if this is true in mice, imagine, what we're carrying around from our ancestry. And tribally, when you didn't have the option to be rejected by your tribe. If you were rejected by the tribe, you were, fed to the hungry animals. You were, abandoned so that the neighboring tribe could capture you. It was dire.
Yeah.
If you look at humans just in today's world, guess what the number one fear is? It's not dying. It's public speaking.
Because of the fear of rejection. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the biggest problem, in fact, author I know wrote a whole book on this, why you're stuck. And he goes into great, but again, it's, if you're in your head, you're dead. So to solve these issues, you really have to get through your conscious mind, that 5 to 10% that it can only process 40 bits of information per second, while your subconscious mind is processing 40 million bits of information per second.
Slight difference.
Little bit of difference. So if your conscious mind wants to go in one direction, like I want to feel good about myself, I want to, feel abundant, I want to but your subconscious mind is going, you can look in the mirror and do the Stuart Smalley thing all day long.
So true. It doesn't really work. You got to get everything aligned and in cahoots. And it's super important. I want to share a really cool book with you. It's called Connected. It's a very long subheadline, The Surprising Power of Our Social Networks and How They Shape Our Lives. Connected, just remember that part. It's written by 2 guys who are social scientists who teach at the university level, and they were really curious about the 6 degrees of separation. They wanted to figure out, is this real? So they did a massive study with a bunch of their grad students, and they discovered something called the 3 degrees of influence rule. Mm. It turns out that you have influence over your friends, 3 levels away from you. And I was like, that's really interesting. I wonder how many people that is. So I asked Dr. Google, and she came back with a recently published article in the New York Times citing research that says the average American knows about 600 people. And I was like, what? There's no way in the world I know 600 people. So I asked a couple of friends of mine who are very sharp, and they said, oh, that's low. Closer to 1,000 people. I was like, okay, whoa, time out. I didn't do the math. The researchers did the math. Let's just see what that looks like. So if you imagine that you're at the center of a bullseye and there are 3 rings around you, that first ring is the 600 people that you know. Well, every single one of those 600 people knows 600 people. That's 360,000 people in your second ring. And the 360,000 people know 600 people. That's 217 million people in your third ring. So according to these social scientists who did the math, everything you think, feel, say, and do ripples out to 217,360,600 people. You being your best self is the most powerful thing you can do for this family, this planet, for your family too. But That's not the freaky part. Okay. The numbers are interesting, but here's where it really gets cool because they wanted to know how much of an impact do you have? It turns out that when you're having a great day, those 600 people in your first ring are 15% more likely to have a great day just because you're having a great day. And the 360,000 people in your second ring are 10% more likely to have a great day. And the 216 million people that you're thinking there's not a way in the world, oh, yeah, they're 6% more likely to have a great day when you're having a great day. So
Love it.
it's incredibly powerful that you are impacting 3 generations when you heal from all of your past trauma and all of your limiting beliefs and all of your blocks. And you're igniting consciousness on the planet. You are empowering people around you more than you could ever imagine.
Love it. I will be reading that book.
Yeah, it's a fabulous book. I absolutely love it. Now, obviously, I would love if you had your magic wand and you could just go ding, and then everybody who's listening or watching the show is completely healed of all issues, everything for everywhere. It doesn't usually work that way. There's probably a couple baby steps that would be helpful. What's something that we could do right now that can help us shift into a better situation?
Turn off the news and
Oh,
start
yeah.
turning on positive podcasts.
Yes.
No, that's a huge one. I have a whole reading list on my website because I think we stand on the shoulder of giants. There's really great information out there, and like you said, I mean that one book. I mean, how many brilliant ideas do you need in order to change your life? One.
Yeah.
And there's lots out there, but you won't even see them until you're in a state where you can perceive them.
It's so true. There is a really cool exercise called the 7-day mental diet, and it actually came out in the 1920s. And it's a challenge that you do for yourself where you ignore all negative stuff. You just avoid negative stuff. So the news, nasty gossip and all that stuff. You just, no, avoid that stuff. So I'm doing the 7-day mental diet, and it doesn't matter where I go. I overhear people arguing. I get to see a headline about a disaster somewhere. It's like, come on. So I had this conversation with a divine. I'm like, seriously? I'm trying to be positive here, and you're throwing all this stuff at me. And I got the message, well, you have to understand, we are guiding you, and you are guiding us. So every time you see something that you don't know how to fix on your own, you see the homeless, you see people who've lost their homes, you see a conflict somewhere around the world. We expect you to hold those people in love and light, imagining them 2 levels above where they are right now. Right now, they're in the flames. You envision the phoenix, and you hold that vision, sending them love and blessings. We'll take care of the rest. We are guiding you, and you are guiding us. You are so much more powerful than you know.
As all the great ones are saying, it's a frequency game.
It is. It's totally a frequency game. And you are upping the frequency. You're cleaning what would that be? You're cleaning the speaker. So it's vibrating at the right level. So we can truly hear the beauty of life. I'm so grateful for what you're doing. And I love hypnotherapy. I love hypnosis. It really works. I've used it for years and I adore it. And I love what you're doing. You very generously offered us a free gift. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, if people reach out to my website, I'd be happy to send them my unzip meditation, which is just basically, finding a place to be relaxed and then going into a very quick meditation where you unzip and step out of all the stress and all the trauma into nothing and just experience that heart and brain coherence. It's a very short meditation, but it's something you can do multiple times in your day if you like.
I love it. I'm going to download it right away. And that heart and brain coherence is so important because ultimately I feel like that's a lot of what you're doing is you're integrating the heart and mind. You're really getting them to collaborate much more effectively by releasing all the old gunk that's been in the way. Now, Tara, we love to turn the tables on our guests here at the Abundance Journey because we know that when we give is when we truly receive the most. So what's something that we can do to support you?
Oh, goodness. Well, I have a podcast as well called Next Level Healing, and I've had a lot of incredible people on. Dr. Joe Vitale, who I'm a huge fan of the Ho'oponopono prayer. Super powerful. He's written 93 books. He was in the movie The Secret. Yeah. And I think 3 or 4 of them was on that prayer because it's that powerful. So that was about 6 months ago. I just interviewed Dr. Joe Dispenza's lead scientist, Dr. Hemel Patel. That's coming out this week, I believe. So yeah, take a listen. We ended up finishing. We were talking about heart and brain coherence and how powerful it is. Dr. Joe is probably doing more, and his teams of people studying what happens to your blood, your microbiome, your brain waves, and people are literally doing the medically impossible. One gal, and I met her, and I hope to have her on my podcast. She's never been on a podcast before, so she's a little nervous. This woman, you're not going to believe this when you hear this, but it's been scientifically verified by Inner Sciences, and we talked about it with Hemel Patel when we were wrapping up because he's met her, and she announced to him when she was just beginning her journey, she was diagnosed with rectal cancer and had her rectum surgically removed. When she came out of the surgery, she realized she made a huge mistake and that her only option to not be incontinent rectally for the rest of her life was to grow her rectum back. And she did it.
Absolutely. I totally believe it. And I know it. I met a woman who the end of her thumb popped off in a freak accident. And so she would do Ho'oponopono to her thumb.
I love it.
And it regrew. It regrew. And the doctor said that doesn't happen. But I'm sorry, if a lizard can regrow its tail, trust me, we can regrow too. And whatever you believe is true for you, not for anybody else, just for you. So why not believe in your own power? Love that. Oh, I can't wait. I love your show and I can't wait to listen to it.
Thank you.
Man, you've given us so much. Dr. Terry, you've just been so incredibly generous today. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Like you, I love what I do. And the more people that can shed stuff that doesn't serve them and embrace what does, lights me up. And like you said, it lights up the next level and the next level and the next level.
It does so much more than you realize because you're unblocking your own light and you don't realize what a powerful light you really are. Man, you have just made my life a little difficult. I took all these notes and I have to pick just one of all these amazing things you said to do the Activate Abundance segment around. Geez, you're making my life difficult. And I really
in the best
appreciate
possible way.
Yes. Thank you so much. Stick around. We're going to do Activate Abundance in just a moment. Hi, it's Elaine Starling, the Abundance Ambassador, and I know since you're listening to this show or watching this show, The Abundance Journey, you really want to experience more abundance in your life. Well, that's why I wrote the book, 5 Steps to Activate Your Abundance. It's available for sale right now from Amazon, from barnesandnoble.com, and many international sellers. And I want you to pick up a copy because I'm really opening the kimono here and sharing all of the information you need to experience abundance in every single aspect of your life. The book's divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is called Meeting the Divine. This is where I share my near-death experience and the conversation I got to have with our higher power during my stroke. In Part 2, Messages from the Divine, I share the best practices that I was given, the secret sauce in how life actually works. And so you understand really why you're here and how you can make the most of your life so you love every single moment. And then in the Part 3 is Partnering with the Divine. That's where I go into each of the 5 steps to activate your abundance and explain exactly why it works so well. So take a moment to pick up a copy. It's available as an ebook, a paperback book, an audiobook, and a video course. So however you like to absorb information, abundance is waiting for you. Isn't Dr. Tara amazing? Oh my gosh, I could keep her here all day. She's in so much demand. She can't do that. But I really wanted to just chain her to the Zoom meeting so we could keep going. It was such a fabulous conversation. Step one, when we activate abundance, is always gratitude. Gratitude is the acorn of your abundance tree. Gratitude is the ignition switch for higher consciousness. And when you step into grateful curiosity, where you don't know what's coming, but you know there are blessings there if you're tuned in and you really pay attention, oh man, do things open up for you. So step one is always gratitude. And I'm super grateful to Dr. Tara for spending this time with us because she was amazing. Step two is to acknowledge something you heard that was an aha for you. Now, I know I've heard this before and you kind of intuitively get it, but man, it totally lit me up when Dr. Tara said, yeah, well, I talk to people and ask them, what are the three feelings I'm not willing to feel anymore? And what are the three feelings that I do want to feel now? And on a consistent basis. And how committed am I to changing something? And how badly does it need to change? I'm the only one who can decide that. And that was just such a brilliant frame for every single aspect of life. So that was what my acknowledge, the aha was for me, is this is a great framework that I can apply to every single aspect of my life. Step three, appreciate the difference it can make in your life. Well, here's what I'm thinking. I can look at my relationship, like my relationship with my husband, and go, okay, what are the three most common emotions that come up for me around this relationship? And how could I make even better feeling emotions happen? How committed am I to that? And how important is that to me that this shifts and improves? I can apply this in every aspect of my life, with my relationships, with my business, with my clients. I mean, it's a universal concept. She gave us so much in that simple demonstration. Wow. Step four is to activate abundance. And the way we do that, there's three different ways that we can activate abundance. The first one is allocate time to get it done. Now, I usually include journaling because if you don't schedule time to journal, it's not going to happen. But it's really powerful when you take note of how you feel and what's going on for you, like this exercise. What are the three big unpleasant emotions I'm feeling right now? What are pleasant emotions I choose to feel? And how important is it to me and how committed am I to make that happen? I can journal about that. And then it gives me an objective perspective where I really see my priorities and my relationship to everything in my life. Very powerful experience. I would also schedule time for hypnosis, frankly, because it really works and it's freaking awesome. And besides, Tara gave you a free download. So yeah, do that. Second way to activate abundance is to use a physical trigger, like crossing your fingers or tugging on your earlobe. It's a reminder, how do I want to feel? What am I projecting into the mirror of the universe? And how committed am I to showing up this way so that I get the kind of experience I really choose? This is what I prefer, but it's based on how I show up as to what I receive. Very powerful to use a physical trigger. The third way is to work with what I call an abundance buddy, an accountability buddy. But, hey, it's the abundance journey show. So it's an abundance buddy, somebody who really gets you, who knows what you're committed to. And they can see objectively when you're maybe stepping out of line and you're adopting old behaviors, old patterns, and they get you to recommit to what is really important to you. So those are three ways that you take something intangible and make it tangible and real for you. Schedule time to get it done, create a physical trigger, work with an abundance buddy. Step 5, celebrate your progress. This is amazing. You have a path to incredible abundance in every aspect of your life, thanks to Dr. Tara. That was an amazing framework she just gave us. And when you choose to apply it on a consistent basis in your life, oh my gosh, hold on to your hats because things are going to be amazing for you. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.